any part of the world where you tuned in utilizing the power of the internet. We are happy to be here for tonight's program. And we just want to say thank you to Josephine Gabriel and the Company Limited for providing us with Twapito water tonight. Just want to big up Ronald Astafan of Pamplemousse Goodies and Services. Ronald wasn't able to bring us our goodie boxes tonight, Shelley, but I hope you'll be in Dominica still during the course of the week. He said he will bring us. Okay, wonderful. And hopefully we should be getting our dinner from the Great Old House as well. So thank you guys for taking care of us, ensuring after we do all of this talking that we have something to munch on. And everyone else who supported during our 10th anniversary celebrations, we really want to say thank you. So many of you in so many different ways. Here's to another 5 years or another 10 years, whatever the good Lord above allows. Welcome again tonight. I have a young man in the studios, and he's literally a young man, very much so. Still a very accomplished young man for his age, if we want to put it that way. And he is here with us to share. Now, he's been here before with his band, the Signal Band. But back then, when he appeared, we were really just talking about the band vibes and music and all of that. But tonight, we're going to get the entire package of Shelley Alfred, the artist, songwriter, musician, and tonight, designer too. What we're going to learn from this young man tonight is going to blow us away in many ways. And no pressure on him. I said that to him earlier on, Shelley, no pressure. And I also said to him, I know you're not perfect. None of us are perfect. However, when you've been able to achieve what this young man has achieved, there is no question that you have to single him out as a shining example for many. And earlier on social media, I kind of put out a challenge, and I said to the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, the guardians, that if they have a teenager, a student, a young child under their care, that they should make the effort to get them, to allow them to join them in listening to the program tonight. I'm sure it was not easy. I'm sure there were many stumbling blocks. I'm sure there were many sacrifices that had to be made to achieve what he's been able to achieve on so many levels. And we're getting ready tonight to chat with Shelley Alfred. We're just trying to get something going there. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on tonight's program. We'll say hello to our guest in just a while, but I must do this before we get going. This one, I think, made such an impact on so many people in so many ways. So let's start off with that, and then we begin the conversation.
But what we don't realize is that we can still love those who we don't want around us. We can still love those who we may not even want to associate with or ever see again. Now, right now, I am about to head to see some of my brothers, my friends, perform some amazing music.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish that I could make a difference. It's just a wish, so I need fairy godparents. Like Timmy Turner. I need me a Cosmo and Wanda. Never will I be Michael Jackson. My love is a drug and we need it to heal the world. Make it a better place for every woman, every man, every boy, every girl, every color, every race. We taking this message to put your love out to the world. Maybe I'm just too young. All of this appeared before I was born. I miss my granny, the shawty she would tell me. In your life, a lot of people go come for and see you as somebody they could turn to. Forget if they rich or they poor, just keep them. And me by your love, and me by your love. So many people wrong the world you may not know. What their story is, their body might not show.
We may just be able to get a little more of this one a little later on during the course of the program. Shelly, good evening.
Finally, I can say something, right? Good evening to the listeners and viewers of In the Spotlight radio and TV show, right?
That's it.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. And, it's a pleasure to be here again in a not so different capacity, but I think very more concentrated and detailed. It's my honor to be here. And honestly, I look forward to the next 2 hours in this chair.
It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I try to make myself as comfortable as possible. Yeah.
This song, Sheldon, before we get into more intimate details with you, I found out, I made the connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your style is called, your bouillon style, you've named Bouillon Love.
Right.
And for some reason, when I read that, I kind of connected it in some way to Annie Bayo Love.
Love, yeah.
Explain that to us a bit. What is this behind Bouillon Love?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's not an invention. I don't think I invented any type of bouillon. I think there were bouillon love songs from way back when. But what I think it was is that I realized that the lyrics that I radiated, the music is an expression, and the vibes that I radiated was always about love of some kind. And, it was beyond the boundaries of love, a romantic love. It's not just romantic love. I felt like it was a love of country. Sometimes it's just a love of self. Sometimes a romantic love sometimes, or just love even for the people that you don't even like, which anybody love is what it alludes to. It's people you love, people you don't like, family, everybody just give love, and it makes everything is so easy for you. So that was where the bouillon love stemmed from. It was a kind of post-rationalization, it was a realization that, wait, there's a trend. I didn't sit one day and say, let's do bouillon love.
Yeah.
It's something that I realized after a while, that there was a trend, and those were my most successful songs. So that meant something.
Annie Bayo Love struck us all in different ways. Tell me about the genesis of Annie Bayo Love. Where did it come from?
Yeah, the Annie Bayo Love story is, and I like to big up the Annie Bayo Love, the older folks that appreciate the song, they don't say the Annie, they just say Bayo Love.
Bayo Love, give them love.
I want to big them up.
Yeah.
Bayo Love, so big up the Bayo Love group. But I would say, honestly, Annie Bayo Love stemmed from Hurricane Maria. Most people don't make the link. And I would say why. When Hurricane Maria struck, I had limited communication with the band. And when I eventually got communication with them, got hold of them, guys lost a lot, but then they were still thinking about our social responsibility. They were like, we need to give the people some form of music, that is geared at their psychological well-being, and
that was critical at that
time.
Yeah,
that was very critical. And they were like, we Signal band have to do it, but Shelly, by we mean you. Because I wasn't in Dominica for Hurricane Maria. I was in the US. And the guys were like, that's on you. So I was traveling within the United States, and I was on the plane. And that's when I started writing this song, still thinking about, because Hurricane Maria, I cried. I literally went from a roller coaster of, I think, a storm had hit St. Thomas before. So I lost communication from my father. As soon as I started back hearing from my father, then the next storm was by Dominica, so I wasn't hearing from my mother. And it was just it was a roller coaster at that time. But at Through Flying, I was just thinking about the task of, we have to do a song. and the pressure was on me. And then I was just like, I want to do this song, but the formula I want to create for this song is that, yes, it's after Hurricane Maria, but I don't want to say Hurricane Maria. I don't want to say Dominica. I don't want to mention hurricanes. I want this song to be palatable to any situation, any audience, any country, you can be feeling happy. You don't have to feel sad. I don't want people to hear this song and continue thinking about Hurricane Maria, right? So that was the formula.
That was thoughtful.
Yeah, I literally write down the words that I will not say in the song first, and then on the plane I started writing it, got home, pick up the guitar and started. That was one of those songs that came from, true composition, with a guitar and melody, and the music was then built around it. So thankfully the guys in the band, they did put the music on it, because I cannot do it all by myself. So Dins and the guys at that point, they were producing on a generator at Jelani's grandmother's house.
Wow.
So they would go there and break the curfews. Right now they can't get arrested for that. but we good?
Yes, we good.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yes, that's all right. That wasn't you.
So at that point the guys were breaking the curfews to produce Annie by Your Love, and I think at that point it was a new style, so there wasn't much confidence in the song around us, like even ourselves.
Really?
I'll be honest.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, like really, to be honest, I was just like, it's a song. I was nervous. I was like, this is a new style, and Dins, who's our lead producer, Dins didn't like the song. While I was just nervous, Dins literally said that I'm not feeling that song. But Jelani's grandfather was the first person to say that you all don't understand. This is a big song. Like literally, he was like, "This is a big song," and we still trying like claim to say what you want, And
it's the first time I'm actually hearing that.
So that was the story. Actually, a piece of the story that I usually tell. This funny part. The song was a fast song when I made it. Yeah, man. Sometimes I wish back and out. And when I sent it, Jelani was the first person to ask me where I going with that. And he was just like, the message of the song.
And he would say to you, just like, Shelly, where are you going with that?
Oh my God. You going with that, and he was just like, the message of the song is so deep that it's going to get lost in the tempo.
Okay.
And immediately slow it down. And maybe that was the point where everybody maybe lose confidence, because it's new. We just to release a slow booyah song like that, so much singing and all of that. And we did it, and the response to that song just caught us off guard. And I think like the response to that song, you can't even trace like on the media really, because I realized that song grew more on the radio stations and on a grassroots level. That wasn't a YouTube million views song.
And you know why, Shirley? Because everybody could relate.
Everybody, yeah.
I think it was genius of you not to include Hurricane Maria, not to include anything like that in the song, and just, for those who are listening, by the way, who may not know what By Your Love is, we've not given them the English version, just in case.
Just give them love. Annie By Your Love, just give them love.
Just give them love. Yeah. And it just blew up. Yeah. And that, I think, if Signal was already there, it just brought you guys to a whole different level and got you a whole new group of fans. Remember what you said. Jelani's grandfather.
Yeah, he's the first person that
heard it and said, basically, all you don't know what all you have there.
Yeah, pretty much,
Pretty much. And that was it for Annie By Your Love.
Yeah. And
it's a song that can be played at a wedding. It can even be played in church. Did you all sing it in church or something?
We played in church. I sang in church, at my church, St. Alphonsus, and we still went to Fatima. The entire band played there. That song has played in every single hole of the world right now.
But it shows, though, first of all, the synergy within your team, your group, because there it is. They came and they said to you, Shen, that one is on you.
Yeah.
Okay, you took it and you said, okay. You sat on a plane and you started to pen your song. Then you sent it to them with your tempo, your bacchanal tempo. But then you're told, no. Somebody else says, no.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. Somebody else says they're not really feeling it. But at the end of the day, all of you came together as a unit and produced and brought it to the public. Right. And it had the impact that even superseded what you would have thought
And it's
The
not
song of the
often that
band.
a group will release a song that they don't feel confident
Mm-hmm.
about. So there had to be some force behind us that was telling us that whether you like it or not, you have to release that song. Yeah.
What do you think it did for the band?
Well, I think honestly, it set us apart. I think in Dominica, there has been a growing trend of young bands just kind of being put under the radar, and sometimes at our own fault because we come up and we copy in something that has been there before, or we just not bringing too much substance to the table. We just think that we are youth, so all we think about is being youth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the moment we did that song, we realized that we are youth and we're very young, but we can have fans that are very older than us as well. And it was like when we performed on Creole Festival main stage, after that, we literally saw so many older people leaning on the railing from early before the announcers because we were the first act, and they were there because they want to hear about Your Love
On
Tonight,
time.
and they were bang on time, and that just exposed us to a whole new demographic of people.
What do you think it did for society, for the public, especially after the devastation that we went through? Do you think it was a uniting song?
I think so. I think it was a very, very uniting song. People got fed up of that song on the radio, but it had to come from the radio. Like, it had to be radiated because some people, the radio is all they had at that moment. The radio is that's what some people never lost connection through. So that song really was just this song to make people smile. We got messages, voice notes of people saying what that song just doing for them in this time. And it was a time that just drew people closer naturally. Everybody was looking out for each other. So coming together under the roof of that song, I think was just bliss. That was just perfection.
Awesomeness. Were you able to make some money from it?
Well,
In terms of
yeah, I think that's what.
And I'm not talking about performances. I'm talking about
Yeah,
streaming.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was what really got us tip us over into streaming, and then we were able to use those funds for other things. Those funds are still there growing too as well, but we were able to use the funds for a lot of the investments we have made over the years. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really just wanted to start off with that because that song, as we've already established, impacted so many people in significant ways. And I thought it would be a good way to get us started. But let's talk about you a bit, Shelly. So I know that you're from Goodwill. You're from Goodwill.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Shelly's background. I know Mommy's listening. Mommy's a big fan of the show.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I know she's tuned in to the program. She always listens as long as she's able to. And let's talk about family. Let's talk about background, Shelly.
Background, okay.
Yes.
Well, I was born and raised in Goodwill. Born there.
You mean straight from the hospital?
Yeah, I was just going to say, born by coincidence. The hospital has happened to be there. But I was born and raised in Goodwill, lived there for my entire life until like 19 was when I moved to the United States. But I lived in Goodwill my entire life, Lower Goodwill specifically, Waters Lane, in a small family house, and wasn't a nuclear family house, but I grew up with my grandmother and my mother in that house. Yeah.
All right. Humble beginnings.
Yeah, very humble beginnings, and Goodwill wasn't a very, how to say it, I think it was a very peaceful community, but it's still not Goodwill, and it wasn't like Jelani Goodwill above the hospital. It was below the hospital, so so we got the Lower Goodwill crew. So it's very humble beginnings, and yeah, that's definitely the root of the story.
I want to hear a bit about Mommy.
Yeah.
I know that is your biggest fan, your biggest cheerleader. I remember her from back in the days of Junior Calypso Monarch, and we'll talk about that. But tell me about the type of mother that you have.
Honestly, I have a very interesting and dynamic mother. Very loving when it matters. Very tough when it matters as well.
She knows about tough love.
She knows about tough love. She literally didn't. I can't say doesn't because right now I'm a big man. But she didn't let me have my way on a lot of things. But it was still a balance between her still letting me be able to express myself in a lot of ways. When I look back, I would say that she never really kept me in a box. She really let me explore. But at the same time, I don't know how that balance really started from her. I don't really know how she would get me to stay in those books while I was always I was a little coward. On the streets, I was playing football every day with my boys without shoe, bust my big toe, go back home. And, come home with bruises, maybe cannot make it to school the next day. And maybe stay outside late with my partners in the lane. We had a lot of boyfriends and male friends and boyfriends. I feel like I had a very grassrooted upbringing, but at the same time, she really always reminded me that I had to stay in those books. And she didn't just say it; she actually put action into it. She put money into it, and
she had to have invested in you.
Yeah, she had invested in me a lot. I think like sometimes when I calculate just my food for afternoon school, or even when I didn't have afternoon school, and she just bring me to the gardens to study. Yeah. That was a budget by itself, And,
she would do that, bring you to the gardens.
Bring me to the gardens to study, and especially when it got to common entrance time, boy, gardens was home.
Problems.
We were living in the gardens, and we used to go home now and then. Yeah, but she took my education very seriously for me, and I feel like at one point it's almost like she instilled the principles, and she just let go of the steering wheel, and I steered it for the rest of the way. Like she didn't really have to hold my hand all the way. There were literally times when it got to university level, I just used to tell her what decision I made. Like I was like, "Mommy, that's what I did," and and I realized that she got that trust in me from very early on, and I think that's once a parent instills that discipline in you and those principles, like they don't really have to hold your hand the entire way.
What are those key things that she would have taught you that helped you to get to where you are today in terms of your achievements and reaching your goals that you set for yourself?
Well, the old school term, you always have to have something to fall back on. That was one of her sayings. Also, I think a lot of the teachings were unspoken of. Like, it's not things that she would normally say, but her actions would be reflective of that. But things that she would say would, like, if I were to challenge some of the ways that she would try to raise me sometimes, if as a young man growing up, you want to have your own way. She always reminded me that one day I'm going to look back and be very thankful for the way she raised me. And
have you?
Always, every day.
Every day.
Obviously, I'm very thankful for that. And honestly, I cannot imagine it being any other way. I cannot imagine being raised any other way than the way I was.
And you also mentioned grandma, so I must ask about grandma and what grandma was like.
Yeah, grandma.
In this whole process.
Yeah, grandma was nice, loving, troublesome lady. But again, very loving. No day I would come home and not have something to eat. I think that was very important. Coming home and looking forward to the meals, even when at one point she was losing her eyesight. And the meals were starting to get a little more interesting. She was making some jumbolos, she used to call them. She's making some jumbolos, and I come in and basically just wondering what she's going to put in that jumbolo today. And beyond that,
but you loved her.
Loved her very much. And even my mom, we used to call her, she had a little shop selling candy, and that was my first job.
Selling in the shop.
Selling little candy, and on Sundays, people in the Pentecostal church would come buy their candy and all of that. And seeing her on some days where things slow, and she would just be saying, "Well, today I guess the little money small." Oh. Yeah, and I was like, "Granny can't be little and small." And he said, "You can't be little and small." But that was the kind of, I think that was my first little job, and those were the moments that actually defined me when you really think about it. And the little young hustler from a long time, and coming outside and setting the table and laying the candy in their bottles and mints by their bubblegum chiclets, Yeah, that was the vibe.
You mentioned that your family was not the ideal nuclear family.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, I would like to ask about that. What role did that play in your life?
Yeah, that played a very, very important role. I think the story is maybe more controversial from my birth, but I think once I was, maybe from my mother's pregnancy to my birth, but I think once I was born, my father was a phenomenal man. From the moment I was born, from the moment I met him. And I can still remember the first day, he didn't reside here.
Okay.
And when he came back from St. Thomas, the first day he lifted me up and he asked me if I know who I was.
Oh
and
my
I,
God.
and he asked me if I know who he was. And I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't know that day. And
How old were you? Do you remember?
I really can't remember my age
Okay.
at that time. I once asked my mother if she knew,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember it was from that day. And my father would literally, after that, the relationship was just, if I don't call my father Vex, if I would come on an interview and I don't mention my father, problems in the place. So partner, a model on you have, man.
I like that. Plugs.
And but it wasn't a thing where it was because I was on the radio. I want to say it's my father. He was playing his part.
Mm-hmm.
He
was proud.
Yeah, he was very proud, playing his part. The entire of St. Thomas knew I was his son, for sure. And he passed away in 2019. And how
was that for you?
Very hard, especially at this stage of life I was in. I was pursuing my master's degree at that time, and it was interesting how I had to deal with that, but also interesting in what it made me come out with. I came off with new people, new friends, new qualities, and it's just being the one of the main people there for him at that time. Because I was in the US and he was getting treatment there, I felt like I made a lot of sacrifices, yes, but it showed that there are a lot of good people around. Like there were people that were around me that literally helped me make those sacrifices. Things I did, I would not have thought of on my own, to be honest. So I was very grateful for that moment, but at the same time, very saddened by his death. And everything that happens these days, I wish I could call him and tell him, Daddy, if you have to know what just happened. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What do you miss most about him, though?
Where do I start? The most one thing.
You can do one thing.
Yeah,
it's up to you.
if I were to miss one thing about him is, I think like he had the most extreme ideas of if I was to be stuck in some situation, he would give me the most extreme solution that I wouldn't go with it. I'll be honest, I wouldn't go with it. But it would just change my perspective, or it would trigger some other thought. So, for example, if I call him now and say, "Daddy boy, I Brooks,"
I would love to hear his response.
No man, partner used to call me, or you call everybody partner. Partner, if I send 2 Levi's jeans for you, partner, you put that on your back, shell on you go tongue, and partner, you sell 2 jeans. partner, money is money, you know. Money is money. You check?
That is what he would say.
Yeah, man, literally, money is money. Partner, I mean, shouldn't you have to do what you have to do, you know, partner. Yeah, man. And literally, that's what. And he literally did that. Like, he used to send anything you see in St. Thomas, he sent it in bulk. And he used to tell me, I have 2 choices. I eat it or I sell it. I eat it, or my mother's bring it in the ministry and sell, or she get it for my snack. Literally, yeah. Literally.
Oh my goodness. I didn't see that coming.
Partner.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But he seemed like he was a fun guy, though. Seemed like he was a
very,
fun guy.
very, very.
So Shelly, growing up in the Goodwill area, what was that like for you? Did you go in the river? Was Rosa River? What was it like?
Yeah, I did a little Rosa Rivers most times. But I would say I did more.
I can't get over your daddy.
You're the partner.
Yes,
you might see me. I'm going to be partner now.
Not me alone.
Yeah. Partner, I'll put it.
Get ready for it.
Yeah, but I did some river, but I think I did more sea at that time.
Oh,
it would be
because the sea is right there.
Yeah, so that's where I learned to swim, all of that. You know, my neighbors, older guys, my bigger brothers, send me in the water and figure it out. You know, and I had accidents on the Dolos and all of that already, some serious ones, and that was the little coward life. You know, go fishing sometimes, play football opposite the Goodwill Primary with my boys in Rawls Lane. So Rawls Lane and Libla Lane, that's my really good friends, and most
Your
of us
partners.
are still really good friends. You
Your
know,
partners.
yeah, my boys for
Your
life. Yeah.
partners.
Yeah. So we grew up together, and a lot of us went to school together at the same time, but we were coming from other schools. I was going SMA, SMP, but we had some of them going to go to the secondary, go to the primary, but we just meet up in the afternoon and play our football, and sometimes we go to Lindo Park as well. So that's all little stomping ground: Lindo Park, Pottersville, and Goodwill. Yeah,
Some good years growing up.
very much so. I wouldn't trade that for anything. To be honest, I would when I vent, I say, "Boy, I wish I was born another place," and then I come back and say, "Nah, no, you cannot." And then I would say,
You
"If I
didn't
could,"
mean
and then
that.
I was like, "If I could maybe bring goodwill and some of the elements that I love about Dominica the most, I'll put another place." But when you get a little frustrated,
I'm
just
going to
say,
ask you a trick question.
Mm.
So, outside of Goodwill, if you were to choose somewhere else in Dominica that you would have loved to grow up, where would that be?
Goodwill.
Okay, outside of Goodwill,
Outside of Goodwill.
somewhere on the countryside.
Mm-mm.
You don't know.
I'm gonna choose the easy way out on that.
Easy way out.
Family from my father's side from Dalis, and
Okay.
I haven't spent enough time there.
Okay.
So I would love to
Fair
spend
enough.
that time. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We can take that.
Yeah.
What about school, Shelley? Where did you go to school? Where did you begin school?
They went to Miss George Primary School in Goodwill.
Miss George.
Miss George, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It was actually where the community center is right now.
okay.
In Gotha community, basically.
Okay.
Right
There
there.
was a Miss George with a primary school.
No,
Preschool.
preschool.
Oh, Miss
Did I say
George,
primary?
You did.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's Miss George Preschool. And then I went to SMP. Then I went to SMA. Then college.
Then college.
Yeah.
Okay, so pause. We're pausing. So you went to Miss George Preschool. I'm not gonna try to get you to remember
Why?
Miss George
You
Preschool.
can't get me. I can't remember it.
Primary, you said was
SMP.
SMP, St. Mary's Primary, and that is where the whole music thing started.
Yeah.
Now I took a little kicks on you, right? When I was reading a little bit about you, when you said that basically you didn't have a choice in learning a particular instrument.
Yeah.
Was it part of the school?
Yeah.
Explain
It's-
that part to me.
Pretty much when you get into music programs in the school, maybe because it's the most affordable instrument to get in bulk,
Right.
but it's always a recorder.
Right.
It's always a recorder, and you're learning to play Mary Had a Little Lamb and Hot Cross Buns and these other songs. So, but it was good because I started to learn how to read music
Mhm.
and all that. But it was non-negotiable. You just had to play the recorder.
You just had to
You just
play.
had to
You had
play.
no other choice.
No other choice.
No other
Everybody had to be.
options.
No other options. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't so limiting because so many of us have gone on to play different instruments,
Mhm.
even by that. But we
Mhm.
just had to start by playing our little recorder.
And that is where, as well, this is we do a little segue.
Yeah.
The calypso was introduced.
Yep.
Tell me how you started there at SMP getting into calypso. But before that, Shelley, let us see if we can get one of those. Oh my God, I'm so excited to play that. Let's take this one. Guys, let me know if you were following Shelley back then and if you were following Calypso, more so Junior Calypso, and if you remember this one.
Everywhere that you pass is just old mass. You can go by the church before they approach. Riverbank ignorance, they giving you no chance. They getting exposed dirty clothes where you got to hold your nose. Too much parole all around Roseau. Too many misfits. AI, little we see the streets. Policemen look at them, pay money to hold your van, prolonging the same dependence. This country we need a plan to help those young men and show them that we really care. There's barrels everywhere. bambidi lie, bambadi bambidi. Professor. Wait, wait, ba ba da ba da 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 eh. Ba da 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 da. It's a shame and disgrace to see the human race find themselves at any rate in such a hopeless state. Tourism, so we preach while barrows ravage the rubbish in this people in the market. Now the country feeling it is too much barrow. All around Roseau, too many misfits. They hide little we city streets. The media launch an attack, burn up all their shacks. In no time the barrows were back. This country we need a plan to help this young man and show them that we really care. Cause barrows
Everywhere. Now, Shelly, was that from at the primary school level or secondary school level? You did
That's
that one?
secondary level.
That's secondary
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
But you actually started at the primary school
level, yeah.
level. Your calypso name was the Professor. Who came up with that name and why the Professor?
Ooh, boy. Man, I've got Lennox on the church to help me with that one.
Oh,
That song in historical. Honestly,
you don't remember?
I don't remember, but I know it had something to do with. I think at one point I wanted to be a teacher,
Okay.
you know, and I think that was part of the story.
Mhm.
As to who said the professor, or if it was me, I really cannot
You don't
remember.
remember.
I don't want to take the praise for it, honestly.
And especially if it wasn't you.
Yeah, if it wasn't me, then yeah. But honestly, it had to do something with me wanting to be a teacher at that point.
But why calypso at that time? Is it something you were interested in, or a teacher saw some potential?
Yeah, teachers saw potential in me. Sir Pascal, Miss Samuel at the time, I think. I'm hard to name, I just can't remember right now. But Miss Samuel and Sir Pascal, Diane Charles were the people, and Mrs. Matthew Wilson's mother was the principal at that time. I honestly, they were the ones that pushed me to that stage. The story that I can remember faintly is being in class, being the center of attention, and wanting to be the center of attention, and being challenged to go and perform is like, you know, it was a challenge. I wasn't supposed to win actually, but I was pushed to go perform. You know, if you like attention so much, basically go on stage, and I got my first song, which was entitled "Give the Youth a Break."
Mhm.
And
Do you remember it at all?
yeah, I remember it. very
Just a little there.
It was give the youth a break, judge us not by another's mistake. No more negative words and vibration, encourage us to build our nation. So let not those who do wrong be any good reason to put us down. So let not those who do wrong be any good reason to put us down. That's all I can remember.
And the voice
For the
has
time.
matured so much.
Yeah. Obviously,
It
it
was clear though from back then. It was
Yeah.
still very clear,
Yeah.
but it has matured quite
Definitely,
a bit.
yeah.
Who wrote it? Do you remember?
That song was written by Miss Samuel at
Okay.
the time.
Okay.
Give the youth a break. Then my second song.
It was a 2-song competition.
No. I did
You
2
mean the
years.
next year? Okay.
Yeah.
At
Actually,
primary
I
level.
remember what happened. In grade 5, I did the SMP Calypso competition,
Mhm.
and I was first runner up.
Okay.
So they were like, next year you have to go to the junior monarch level. And the next year I went to junior monarch with that same song. So basically I had that song twice.
Okay.
But
Were
yeah.
you allowed to do that? Well, yes, because it was an internal competition.
Yeah, it was an
within your
internal.
school.
Yeah. It was allowed.
Okay.
We didn't break the rules. But yeah, I remember that year. It was my first year, and I came 4th runner up or something like that. I think they make a place for me that year. That year. Not Nick, but there were a lot of competitors that year, so we had more places.
Okay.
So yeah, I was 4th runner up, and I was vexed because
You didn't like that?
Yeah, I find 4th.
You find it where are you?
4th, man.
Was that junior? Was that secondary school by then? Or was that still
That was still primary school.
That was still primary.
That was still
Okay.
primary school.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I want to segue a bit quickly just to
Sure.
say that I feel like that almost didn't happen. Like music
Oh.
maybe almost didn't happen for me. Because I think somewhere about grade 4, we decided to migrate to the US. So I did 1 year of elementary school in US.
Okay.
I was in grade 4. And I just keep wondering so many times, like, well, what path I would have gone if I didn't come back to Dominica. And the reason I came back to Dominica is because after about first term and second term, my mother was like, she didn't feel like the education system was challenging me. And we came back
You came back to Dominica.
Yeah, for grade 4.
So your decision to come back to Dominica was based on Shelley.
Well,
And
all
right, fair.
I guess
You take that.
I didn't make the decision, but it was based on me. Yeah,
It was based on you.
yeah. We came back, and that was it.
And that was it.
Yes, and then that was great. I came back in grade 4. Then from grade 5, I started singing. So
You started singing your calypso.
yeah, my little calypso. And
yeah.
I cannot remember singing any little calypso in grade 4. So that just means that it's I don't know if it was a long time calling, but grade 5 is early enough.
It's where it
So,
happened.
yeah, I was like 11 years old. Yeah.
And then you moved on to secondary school.
Yeah.
And voila.
Voila, I met Ian Jackson. Yeah, and
Very good writer.
Very good writer.
Very, very talented.
So it seems like from the first 2 years of Junior Monarch, he was monitoring me. And as soon as I stepped foot in SMA, he came to see me. September,
Very early.
first day of class.
Yeah.
He came to look for me. Yeah, man, he came to look for me.
He was ready for you.
Yeah, I even think the Paro's Everywhere song, he probably had that written and
Already
just
waiting
passed that
for you.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and that was it. And Paro's Everywhere winner.
And then you won 3 years straight Junior Calypso Monarch.
Yep.
This was another one. We'll just take a little of it that you did. This one is called My Exposition, written again by Ian Jackson.
Yep.
Let's take a bit of it.
Professor again, on behalf of the youth, Professor again, Listen up now. I got an assignment from my English teacher. She wanted me to write an exposition of different vocations in my little island. So I began to ask some questions. I wanted to write about a fireman, but some friends of mine had that same plan. So I chose to write my exposition on them Dominican politicians. Jacket and tie, endless lies, hugging people, dimples and smiles, like a couple photos, give me free and blues, and someone is sure to put them happy pose. I'm not even the Professor again, yeah. Mama, I handed in my assignment to my teacher. But to see what I have so far. This were views. No professor, how you so sure? Go and ask another brother. Get the next opinion. Go jump to conclusion. Go write a composition. So early on Wednesday, I go red clinic to see if I could get some lyrics. But before I could go any further between you and me, a man pulled me out the door.
Lyrics.
And that was a little controversial there because
It was.
they were
It
like
was-
too young to be
having
singing
some
that.
political vibes going on in that one.
Yeah, they were that had a little talk on the radio, man.
Yes,
Should he be singing those politically motivated lyrics? Yeah.
But I suspect that one was a little later into the
That was my last crown in
because
Trinidad.
your voice.
Yeah.
I'm hearing the difference in your
Yeah.
voice there.
That was the last one.
Good stuff. But good vibes.
Yeah.
New one.
Yeah.
And again, Ian Jackson. Yeah, Jackson was your writer, and he stuck with you. Wasn't there a time that his daughter competed the same one of the years that
that
you
year
competed?
she competed. We competed.
And she was first runner-up?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I was actually judges coordinator for
Thank-
Calypso Junior Monarch.
Thank you for the crumbs.
For all the years, for all the years that he won, I was actually the judges coordinator for Junior Monarch as well, and I was always impressed with you, Shelley, from then.
you.
And then, I always knew you would have moved on to the national competition, which you did,
Mhm.
but you didn't stay too very long.
Pass.
Let us tell you passed through. Pass on our boss.
Yeah.
You just passed through. But tell me about the National Calypso competition and how you got into it and why you didn't stay too long there.
Okay, trying to think of that transition.
Yeah.
So the last crown was 2011. I did CXC in 2012. So my mother agreed, not in that. No Calypso that year. no competing that year because it took some energy. And and then after that, I went to college. During college is when I was kind of, signals formed. I started to be a cool young kid, and I got into the bouillon vibe a little more. I started playing for Triple K during college, so that was like I was kind of drifting.
A lot was going on.
Yeah, I was kind of drifting, honestly, and I pierced my ears. I check in, I hot that, I Calypso again. So yeah, that was a phase of life, it's growth, and but so I was in college from 2012 to 14. I was thinking about Calypso now and then. I was like, I'll go back eventually. And then in 2015, I'm not sure what exactly triggered me to go back, but I just remember having a conversation with one of my cousins, Albert, and Pelham, John Baptist, with a very controversial song was presented to me. And
that was
actually a few songs were presented to me.
Okay.
And that was one of them. And I was like, that is the song I want to sing.
And that was which one?
That was God of Calypso Kingdom.
Oh, yes.
I was like, that is the song I want to sing. I watch it, smile. I was like, I know it's going to be controversial. There's going to be some backlash and all that. I was kind of more prepared for it than the people on my team. I don't know. I've always been prepared for these kind of things. Although I don't get much of it, but I sang that song and immediately, I think people were excited about the return. So, I was thankful I took the break because people were excited about the return. Also, the Calypso fanatics are always generally excited when they see junior Calypsonians go to the next level.
Yes.
And, we need to see more of that for sure. But they're excited when they see that transition. So they were super excited. Professor in Big Man Thing, and all I wanted to do was be in Big Man Thing and sing a Big Man song and, make an impact that year. And that I did. That's why I didn't stay, because I went to study that exact year.
Okay. So you only did 1 year?
1 year.
It was only 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I came back and I did a song, Dominican Houses, the following year, but I didn't compete.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think I maybe have that one. Yes, let's take a little bit of that one.
Professor again and again, Lord. Zumbi, zumbada, zumbi. Love up. Bambadi bambi daylight. Professor is no carpenter. Professor is no contractor. But Professor no in Dominica. We have bad luck with houses. Maybe we make bad decisions by budgeting so many millions. Or maybe it is bad foundation. But we have bad luck with houses. And that is why I pray to build my house. When I hear a man just jump in the state house. When they ask the man, he say he come to make a call. I didn't know that house had pay phone at all. Well, if it's so, I cannot secure my home. I don't want house, I rather live on the road. Shumbe, shumbala, shumbe. Dada boy. Hi. It's Professor again, back in Calypso land. Rub up, rub up. Since you get status in the arena, you start behaving like a master. Calypso camp like slave plantation. Man work hard but get no compensation. Izu speak about equal rights and justice. Izu speak of freedom of speech. Your true colors now show, attacking Duncan Store, cause he critique your Calypso. That's why we have to say sorry, cause we did not know. Sorry, we hurt your ego. Now we are down on our knees, begging you please. Why are you in competition? Is dice to winning crowns, but we've been fools all along. You're the lord of the art form, the god of Calypso kingdom. Daddy boy, hi.
I'm not playing DJ, okay? Just giving you a little bit because we have so much to talk about still to come of the calypsos that Professor did in the, well, he was Professor, that was his calypso name. The one he competed with, two he competed with, God of Calypso and Good Professor.
Yeah.
And then the other one was one that you just did
Yeah.
the following year.
Pro bono.
Yes. And then that was it for you, Shelly, as we play this one a little bit in the background.
Yeah.
So after that, you decided Calypso was not for you. What was the decision? What happened? Or is it that were you concerned about the topics you were singing on? What would have caused you to? Because I mean, Calypso is Calypso. I mean, we love our Calypso, you know. So somebody like you with so much potential, you know, at the time, why would you just?
Yeah, it wasn't really my choice. It was not somebody else's choice. I think it was just this circumstantial. It was circumstantial. When I went to study, I just didn't really have the time to dedicate to an entire Calypso season. You know, being there from eliminations to the end of the competition, I just couldn't do it. And what I realized I would find myself doing is, so these God of Calypso Kingdom and Good Professor was penned by Pelham, but Dominican Houses was written by me.
Okay.
So that was my first Calypso that I wrote. So from Dominican Houses, every time Calypso season coming up, I write in a song. And my roommate at the time, Hadley, I would present the songs to him and Hadley, don't record that. Don't record that. Wasting the music. Because at that point, I just recorded the songs.
Hadley.
There's only one Hadley in the world.
Is that so?
Hadley was my roommate in,
I hope
in
he's
college.
tuned in.
Yeah, most likely.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
and he's a musician too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a drummer.
Yeah.
So Hadley would always be, you know, my second pair of ears up till this day. So Hadley came and he heard the songs that I would be working on, and he always of the opinion that I shouldn't be wasting the music, because sometimes I just release the music and not competing, not in the competition, so you never really have the impact. Plus, I wouldn't be on the ground to at least do some performances or promote it. So that was a fear, and I agreed with that. I don't want to waste the songs. I think some of them will so fit in for the time, they maybe will still wasted because they were not released. But I think like I have a lot of calypsos, like ideas laying around in my
vault.
I have a little vault of that.
I can imagine.
In a hard drive, yeah.
You think you'll make use of them at some point in time?
Some of them, sometimes I just go back and listen to them, and it's very nice songs, you know. But yeah.
Okay. So that was it for Calypso. We moved on from Calypso, or not? Did we continue writing, for example?
Not until this year.
Not until this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. After God of Calypso Kingdom, I really didn't write anything.
You didn't
I was writing. I was writing
something else.
I was writing calypsos, but not doing anything with them.
Not doing anything with them.
Yeah.
So not even passing them on.
Yeah, not even that.
So you held them to yourself.
No, but they were not finished. Like I would start them and then I would lose the motivation because
Okay.
like what
But
am I
hardly would demotivate you, hardly.
hardly felt. Yeah, but honestly,
Blame hardly.
at one point I was just like, what are you doing that for? You know?
Yeah.
The ideas were really nice and I felt a little pressure. I was like, if I give it to somebody else, then I have to finish write it. And it was just ideas that come up in my spare time, and I get a little time to do some music. And I never really stopped doing music once I went to school. So, but I still had to know when to stop. You know? And I felt like I don't want to put the pressure where somebody else depending on me for a song and whatever. So that was.
And so this year you came back and you decided you were going to write something for someone before we get into the move to the bouillon element, and we have to move to the academic element as well. So we're just going to deal with Calypso and move on from Calypso because we left you behind a little while. He left you behind, not me. So you decided to do something this year and you wrote for Shanice.
Yeah.
So persons may be hearing for the first time that you actually wrote her second song.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
maybe they might be hearing for the first time.
I'm sure because I got to know that you wrote that song. I don't remember how. But I'm sure there are people who are probably tuned in now and not knowing that you wrote that one. Tell us about that song and how it came about.
So, Shanice has been a fan / friend for years, supporting Signal from day one. And nobody have more Signal shirts than Shanice. I'll start by saying that.
Wow.
Like she literally have maybe a merchandise of everything that we have launched. But beyond that, one day Shanice messaged me on WhatsApp and she was like, I need a song from your pen.
She needs a song from your pen. I like that.
And she had already started singing Calypso. So I think it was sometime at the end of last year. She was like, she needed a song from my pen. And I thought she was joking. I laughed it off and whatever. Then she come back again. She reminded me. I was like, boy, Shani's serious. And honestly, I mean, she already told me that she was never joking. Like I wasn't want to take it for a joke, but from the get-go, she was never joking. She was very serious. And obviously, at one point, I got some messages, "Sheldon, I'll bust your head," whatever, just to remind me.
You better move. Start taking out that pen.
She basically told me I will not escape from that. That's the song that she wants to sing a song from my pen, and the idea was actually given by her. So she and her team sent me an idea saying that they're just thinking something about rolling a rosary and just think about the times and do something. They'll leave the rest up to me. So I was like, okay. It took slower than I thought. Maybe I was a little rusty, on the calypso vibe. But there were many nights I would just pick up the guitar, my acoustic guitar, and sit on the porch, or sit inside and just vibe it. Fall asleep with the guitar on me. Sometimes trying to vibe it. It took a little longer than I thought it would take to write this song. Then we had nice little meetings with the rest of her team sometimes, and they would give input on lines that should change there and there. And I like that process. I like to take my time to write a song and get input. Yeah. So that was that. And at the end, because I was feeling a little under pressure, because clock was ticking and I couldn't let down Shanice and I had to do that. So it's only when this song released and I saw the people loving it, I was like I did that,
You did that.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah.
And she too has a very beautiful voice.
Definitely.
Very strong, deep, beautiful voice.
Yeah, definitely.
Pray a decade for our children and our young men, for they need it the most. Figures you expect to protect them will disrespect them, sometimes right at their homes. Granny say it wasn't like this before. Papa God, your sons can't handle a vote well no more. So to prove there is man, they must raise their hand. Don't want to know how it feels to bury your mother after she was killed by your father. Well, if this seems like the signs of the end of time, Boule Chavel, roll your rosary, and the hope just seems so hard to find. Boule Chavel, roll your rosary, singing one sweet song of love and pride. Roll your rosary. Mama say one prayer a day can keep the evil away. Just say one, our Father, and 10 Hail Marys and pray for my country. Ule chapelet, roll your rosary. Boy, 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 boy.
That's the talent of our very own Sheldon, Shelley, Alfred. Why I keep saying Ashford? Ashford are my assistants.
Yeah.
Yes. She will just say Shelley.
Yeah.
So this is talent right there.
Thank you.
Sheldon.
Thank you.
And that young lady, I actually thought should have been in top 4. And I actually said to her after the show, I said, I felt you should have been in top 4, but don't give up.
Don't give up, please.
Please come back. And if she's listening, she will remember I said that to her. She was dynamic. That song was
well delivered.
Well written. And well delivered, even if it took you some time.
Yeah.
So take some credit for that. Take some kudos for that, Shelley. And this is good work right there.
Thank you.
Powerful music, powerful execution on the night. Good stuff. That means you better have some going for next year.
Yeah, no, next year after that.
Yes,
I have to do that. Yeah.
I don't foresee you coming back to Calypso in a while.
Probably not, honestly.
Probably not.
Yeah,
It's
maybe in the next it's not part of my short-term goals.
Okay.
Yeah, I will be honest. I've been telling my fans next year for so long. I feel like it's about time I start being honest with them. I still start being honest and say honestly, it's not in my short-term goals. Yeah.
Okay, but we would love to see you return.
But yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You have a good voice. You can write, and you're good. You deliver well, and you have the stage personality, and you have the style, right? Yeah. So definitely something to think about in the long run, in the long term, when you're settled and you feel like it's your time to make that return. You're very young.
I'll take.
Very, very young. So we're not going to say your age, but you're very young and you've been able to achieve so much so far. So we're going to transition, Shelley, from Calypso to your band. That band, from my understanding, started at Goodwill.
Yeah.
While you were at
SMA. Yeah.
So take us back there to that.
Yeah, I mean, it started by Goodwill based on where the members, the main founding members lived, but we started practicing in Cross Street, Roseau, by the Rolls. Which I think so many bands were both there. So big up to Mr. Roll. But yeah, the band started by
not to interject. I just forgot something. You did win Stardom King of the Tent.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Which song?
God of Calypso Kingdom.
God of Calypso
so that year
Kingdom.
I was a finalist and I won the King of the Tent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you made your entry, you got into the finals, and you
won the King.
Did you forget something? Did you forget your
finals?
Song? The finals. Did something
finals
happen?
Good Professor. I forgot that song.
I know.
I forgot that song easy.
Not to take us back to that.
Yeah, I repeat 2 lines easy.
Something happened.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, I wasn't getting the lines. I just sing them when I just sing.
I was still judges coordinator. Yes.
I don't think so.
No, how long ago was that?
That was 2015.
2015? I don't know. Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes. But yes, I know I had to go back to that.
Yeah, man.
But you did do well. You won Stardom King of the Tent. You made it to the finals. You could have placed, who knows, but you screwed up.
I screwed up, yeah.
Yes, you did. You had to go back to that show.
Maybe that's why I'm not coming back.
Maybe that's why you're not coming back. So back now to the band. Yes. Yeah. I just had to go back to that for a second.
Yeah, so the band started in 2010. It was in the summer. We were actually approached by a school friend at the time, Mosiah Challenger.
I know Mosey.
And Mosey was like, "Boy, fellas, you gotta put a band together." Yeah, all the band put a little man tight and all the man talented. He checked out the brothers first, Darren and Donnell, and those that were keyboardists. And he told them that, we need to pull some guys together. Obviously, these guys, we were already doing our thing on the porch, making our little tracks. We didn't have a band. We were doing some things on my grandmother's table that she was selling the sweetie. That's
so?
When we used to be ponging. So as soon as Mosey tell them that, Darren Donnell were like, "Shelley, we do that. But I was playing guitar at the time. I was no singer. I used to
So you had graduated from what is the first instrument you played?
from recorder.
Recorder.
Long time ago.
The guitar.
Yeah, my mother
Yes.
put me in guitar class in the summer.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so guitar class, learned some music theory at that time. So yeah, guitar time, and we went to Mr. Ruban house, and we had some other members come on board, and we actually held auditions for a singer. We didn't have a singer, so we had auditions. Because they just pull musicians together. And they
So you were a musician. You were considered a musician at that time. You were not into the singing.
No, I wasn't singing. So it was the musicians were Darren Donnell, Malikas on drums. And Malikas was my good friend from primary school. We also was singing Junior Monarch together. I was on guitar. Who was playing bass guitar? Krabs. I think Krabs was playing bass guitar, and Krabs and Namin, Mr. Wilson, interchangeably. And we didn't have a singer. We had auditions. We had guys like Coco Tet and Michael and Dylan. Them are come and boy, all my boys. Some of them just because they're my boys, they come and sing. Some of them actually could do a thing. So Dylan is the oldest brother of Darren and Donnell.
You were teenagers at that time.
Yeah. We literally, I was 13 years old.
Yeah. You only got it. Okay. I'm not
13
judging.
or 15, I can't remember. Somewhere around there. I think Duns was 13, I was 15. And we started doing our thing. We did the auditions. We got 2 singers. They couldn't get along. then but that story so far, I don't want to repeat that again. But what I will say was one of the main takeaways of that.
We want the funny.
No. Yeah, that man couldn't get along, so basically one left, and apparently, but I don't. I'll tell you that alone. I'll tell you where it is. So anyway, that was the birth of Signal. Then all that time is practice, but there was no real Signal band. The band wasn't named at that point. We were just practicing all summer. We were practicing songs like Pump Me Up with the Muse. We were playing Pump Me Up. We were playing All Aboard, all these old classics. And I can remember we said to ourselves that we're not a booyah band. We're not going to be a booyah band. That was we had a decision. We're not going to be a booyah band. And I think reason being, we are all very talented guy. Our musicianship was on a different level, even as young as we were. And Booyah was already starting to take a trend of rhythm and chant around that time, 2010. And I think it's because we didn't really see ourselves doing it. We felt that the easier thing to do was to just not do Booyah on a whole and play a little soca. Okay. But it's easy to say that when you're just practicing.
I know, you're young anyway.
We're young. But the moment we hit the stage,
the
moment we hit the stage, we realize we have to do some Booyah if we want people to study us.
Of course.
So our first performance was August 21st, 2010. And the thing about that performance is that week we carried to perform by Mosey in Buffet State, but we didn't have a name. So Mosey asking, has anybody band for him to?
You're funny.
We don't know any band for him to organize the flyer and thing, And I remember one of our members and myself and I think it was about 3 of us, we went to the apartment of Nai in Buffet State. Nai WCK fame. So we went by Nai and we pull up, we're watching. He was playing FIFA or something, and some connection thing happened, and the TV said no signal. But we already tell Nai we gigging this weekend, we have a name. Nai Stummers, respect Nai, but he Stummers. So Nai say that is the name. Blood, look, the name of the band they're seeing. And that was it. That was it. Signal man. Yeah, man.
You kidding?
Yeah, that was just how we knew.
This is the first time I'm hearing the story.
That is it. I keep reminding you. Look it. Look it right there.
Tell me how I'm supposed to sit here and be a serious host.
Hey, big up Nai. Yeah, trust me. Yeah.
So Signal.
Yeah, just like that. That was how it was birthed. And then we had another friend, Iwani Inky, link him up, tell him we need a logo. He designed our first logo. and we take our little band picture, and we ready. And that
Aw.
was the birth. Yeah.
That was the birth of Signal
Yeah.
Band. A name from
Nai.
Nai's home.
Yeah.
No signal.
No signal, mid
That-
signal.
that's the-
Yeah. So right now, when we in little feuds and somebody try and diss us and say no signal, we just laugh that because that's how we were born. Like we're born.
They don't even know
We're
that.
born from no signal, so that can't be a diss. Come on.
So what happened with the band from then, Shelley?
Well, the band, we had some years of just trying to do this thing, and I remember I was playing the guitar but also controlling the drum machine, and I was getting into
By the way, who did you select as the who
singer?
stayed as the singer?
Cocotet and Beetlejuice.
And Beetlejuice.
So
Beetle J from
Beetle-
Newtown or
so
Kingsville area.
Yeah, Cocotet and Beetle J ended up staying as the singers
These were your singers?
for about 2 years. Yeah, they were.
All right. Okay, go on.
Yes.
Shelley?
Anyway,
Okay. Mhm.
So I was on the guitar, and I think after some years, when we started to really get, we always had potential. I mean, come on, I mean, see what we become today. So you can imagine we started and we had potential.
Yeah, man.
And I remember in a band meeting, like we started, when we just started, we were just playing music. But then when we started to think about business, we started using words like image.
Mhm.
And I remember the guys were like, I think Shirley would be the best image for the band.
Oh,
That was where it came out.
okay.
And
And they
like,
were right.
They were like, how can a man be, singing calypso, etc., and then he come in the band and play guitar and staying in the back? We need Shirley at the front. And that was kind of that once that image conversation came up, the guys pushed me to go at the front.
And that was it.
But I was reluctant, I wouldn't lie, because I wasn't a Buyo singer. I felt the voice was too soft for Buyo. So I was very reluctant. And about in 2013, thereabout, was when I started singing Buyo, to be honest.
How did you feel having to move up front and leaving your guitar playing behind? And who replaced you? Or were you replaced?
I was replaced eventually by our now bass guitarist, Gio.
Okay.
So Gio came into the band playing guitar.
Okay.
And I was still playing guitar for Triple K at that time.
Okay.
So it's like I didn't...
Yes, I remember you
yeah.
were part of Triple K for some time.
Yeah, so just about that period, that was the overlap. I started to sing for Signal and I was playing guitar for Triple K. So I never really left the guitar alone.
Okay.
I was just playing for somebody else with it.
But how was that transition though, having been playing for Triple K and then moving, still having a band? How did that work out?
I mean, at the time, I think it was successful. It happened well. When I look back, a lot of things happened along the way.
I'm sure.
I was asked the question whether I was Shirley from Triple K or Shirley from Signal Band many times, and there were talks that it's an image conflict. Which arguable. I was a plain musician rather than I wasn't a singer in both bands, so that's arguable. But that came up. But either way, I will say that I was thankful for the journey with Triple K because Signal being an underexperienced band, there is a lot that I learned from being part of a more experienced group. I think I learned a lot of do's and a lot of don'ts. And just being able to, at 19 years, tour, travel, is not everybody that is blessed with that opportunity. So I will say that no matter what me and these guys go through today, I was thankful for that opportunity at the time.
That's important to recognize.
Yeah, and it definitely brought some early experience that I needed and maybe is very definitive of my story right now. Being exposed to certain things early is very important. So
were you the one who departed?
Yeah.
From the band?
Yeah.
And that had to do with the conflict, the image conflict.
Yeah, eventually, Signal started to get more popular. I realized that it's kind of it almost felt like paying rent when I started building my house. I already built the foundation, but I still paying rent where I can just kind of focus on finishing my house. So I went back to finish my house and I stopped paying rent. But
Take us through the Signal journey, Sheldon.
What part? Like after when I went,
no
Triple K, no, it's just Signal.
Yes, it's just Signal. What was the goal? What was the focus? Was there a vision? Was there a mission? What was the plan?
Yeah, I think that vision really developed when my best friend Jelani came on board. Jelani was listening to us over the radio playing in Crazy Coconuts, And Jelani didn't have no management experience. Actually, Jelani thought he would have been a singer too. Jelani used to sing out in Plaza and sing, backflip. So,
Jelani used to sing.
yeah, man, Jelani used to sing, man.
He didn't audition at the time?
No, he didn't audition. Nah, he didn't audition. But he was, he's singing in band. Same Mosey. Mosey is a long time man in the industry. Anyway, Mosey and the man of the band, Jelani was singing. But that beyond the point, Jelani heard us over the airwaves. And him and I have been best friends from third form in SMA. So by that time we're talking maybe just about, but when Johnny started managing that band, that was college. I can't remember what year. No, yeah, about college.
Okay.
2013, maybe they're about.
Okay, that long.
Yeah, about 10 years ago. So I remember he just sent me a list of things that he noticed by listening to us over the airwaves.
Okay.
That's how it started. Like he sent a list of things like the band had potential, but. So I was like, well, as my friend, come and share it with my other group of friends. I tell him, come in and talk to the guys and tell him what you think. And that's how it happened. Like Johnny just became our manager. It was an interesting experiment because when bands go after managers, they go after well-established persons, businessmen, etc. But we had basically a peer being our manager, and we just pretty much grew a family out of that experience. And Jelani learned to be a manager by being a manager in Signal Band. He didn't come with that experience. So that was beautiful to see as well. So
has it worked?
Yeah, definitely it has worked. It is working. And I think while there's a lot more to learn, I think we're on the right path because we're moving together. Yeah.
Tell us about the growth process of the band. When you came from being the little band to now a very big band.
This band turned into a big band.
That's it.
Yeah. That transition, honestly, I owe to many things. I think we owe it first to God. God saw us through this journey because young bands don't make it in Dominica. Honestly, you have to be a lucky one out of the bunch. And especially in our time when we started this band, there were about 10 young bands all battling to get through. And I remember I had to make some harsh decisions because I had already seen the vision. I had seen the vision where we'll be asked, for example, one simple one, we'll be asked to open for Triple K while I was playing for Triple K. And I declined. I used to be like, nah, man, Signal not playing. But because I was in Triple K, I felt like that would be a very good mesh. But I was like, no, because I know that people come to see Triple K in a Triple K jam. And I felt like that would more devalue Signal than add value. And from early, I made that decision. So these kind of decisions played a big part in us starting to build a brand because that's really what brought us to where we are today. We built a brand. And building that brand, we had harsh decisions to make. We had some people that didn't make it on the journey with us today. And some of them we are good friends. Some of them we don't speak to. It doesn't matter. But some of the harsh decisions had to be made because I remember when Jelani came in, he said he's a cricketer by profession. And that was a skill and a gift given to him that he was able to monetize. And he said, you guys also have a skill and a gift and you should be able to monetize it as well. And that was like the change in perspective. The shift in perspective is how are we going to be like, yes, music, yay, but make some money on it. And that forced us to then kind of develop, okay, what is our sound? What do we want to radiate? What message do we have to tell as a band? What kind of people do we want around us? All of that were the questions that we had to ask ourselves. How can we build a unit that will last a lifetime? How can we let the public also see us in a different light? And
the answers were what? What is our sound?
Our sound was something that honestly we had to accept the fact that we were playing a big part in the sound of Booyah for some years. We were making rhythms for other bands, ASA, Triple K, WCK, Daniel and myself. And we started to realize that that's pretty much our song that we're giving out.
That's it.
That's our song. And at the time, the money came in handy. Thanks to them, big up to them for that. But there was a point in time where we realized pretty much that's our song that we're giving out there. And while the credits still didn't match, the amount of the contribution that we were making to the sound. So we started to pull back on that. Pretty much that was the first move. Started to pull back on that, keep more of that internally. But then even me, I started to work on my writing craft a lot I started to read a lot more. I started to really try to understand the art of writing and balance that with being a smart guy, but not trying to be too smart in the music. I
I get that.
understand the market, understand what how different ways I could say something that could make it relatable to an individual. I'm not talking to my Harvard professor.
That's correct.
I talking to an average person that's going to play the music over and over. So that was part of this the finding this sound is is a lyrical song, but it's also a musical sound as well. And I think over the years, because we have had a consistent backline musicians, Akim, Daniel, Darren, and Gio, these guys just have gelled, and that has created this signal song. Because we produce music in different ways now these days. We produce some songs by starting in the band house. We produce by going in the studio. Sometimes we get beats from outside producers and we bring it in and we add a signal flavor to it. So we have defined a sound by practice and just staying together over the years. And education is a big part of our song too, because
In what context?
there were points in time when we just paid for our keyboardist Daniel, keyboardist and producer. We sent him to St. Lucia for a music production course, and by one of the top producers in Trinidad. He went there. I learned a lot in that period. Jelani went on a management course in, I can't remember where you go, I think Dylan also went somewhere, maybe in Dominica, and then some of the other guys did live engineering
Nice.
courses, all of that.
So you were investing in your people.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, we felt that honestly, we have to learn. You have to really become an expert at what you do for you to really see benefits. And you cannot just say, I'm a musician and every day I wake up I just kind of bing. If it work, it work. So we studied that. Gio in himself, like individual, is a very experienced musician, very, very talented. I think he's the musician that practices the most in Dominica. So all that gelling together really helped. And education, we cannot forget education. Yeah.
And tell us, in terms of the compositions, your compositions are very relatable. They're clean. I think most of your lyrics is clean lyrics. How did you decide that is the direction to go, considering what was currently in market?
Was and is.
Yes,
And
is
is,
market.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, music is an expression, and I feel like we accepted the fact that we have to balance. It starts with us, like the expression. Anyway, anytime you talk about expression, that has to come from within, and I think it's just because of who we are, just our state of being as members of Signal Band. Because of who we are, it just doesn't feel right to radiate that, because that's just not who we are. There are people, that's who they are. But for us, we think that our expression starts from who we are. And then we can tailor that in some way to our audiences, but we don't let our music start with the audience. I don't think that's the right way to do music, and I stand firmly by that. I think that music is an expression, and I don't think it should start with the consumer. If you're an artist, if you're doing anything that is art, has to come from within, has to come from the soul, and you don't take somebody's soul and resell it to them.
And this has gained you the admiration of your fans, the more mature audience, and I think overall your product is in the right place at the right level, and I think helping you achieve the goals that you have set for yourself and your band at the beginning. Okay, let's take one, Shelly.
Which one?
Which one can we take? I like this one, so let's see.
Baby, tell me if the partner there. Just tell me if
That was the one.
That was the one.
Cause I'm on my way. Life of a side man. This side life is the best life, cause you're stress life. Baby, tell me if the partner there. Just tell me if the coast is clear. Oh, cause I'm on my way. And even if the partner there, side man. This side life is the best life, a zero stress life.
Baby, tell me if they cause this player. Tell me if you're ugly woman, dear. Oh, cause I'm on my way.
Please respect the program.
And once you say they cause this player, I will weigh up every ton, oh, boy, I'm on my way.
True.
Life of a side.
This side life is a sweet life with some sweet lies. We could surely go and take a drive, yeah. But I will have to use my partner ride. Oh, girl, I'm on my way. I hope you make your best friend know. So if he calls, she can go with the flow. Oh, girl, I'm on my way. Ha, the life of a side man.
And a good opportunity, Shelley, as well, to mention the incorporation of Sasha into the band. Such a beautiful young lady.
Definitely.
Very talented, amazing voice.
Definitely.
She's been part of the Signal family for some time.
Yeah, she has been there for some time. And I remember when she just started working with us, it was said that we want Sasha to just remain an artist and she just work with the band, man. That was the arrangement at the start.
Oh.
But eventually it was meshing so well, it was just working out, and then she just became part of the band. And we were like, if Shelley's part of the band, but Shelley also remains as an artist. He maintains an artist identity, and that also helps carry the band through. So why can't Stasha do the same? Stasha is a figure by herself. She's a very loved person, a very loved artist. And Shelley is also a very loved artist, a very loved person.
And the two of you together.
So together, like,
oh my
come on.
goodness.
That's where we're going.
And your love.
Yeah, man. Together is just good vibes.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But Shelley, this particular number was penned by you, I presume.
Yes.
Publicly,
I say it was penned by the association because I don't want people to know like that's in my mind is.
Oh.
But that man, I just kidded. It was penned by me. It was the fastest song I've written, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, the story of that song.
By the way, is it a true story?
I mean, it's a true story. It doesn't have to be my true story, but a true story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A true story. A true story.
Many people can relate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, the song idea came. Well, the idea of the On My Way. On My Way is a very popular song of Lionel Richie. That came through Liam, our road manager. Liam fetched a rhythm for that. But when it got to me, this On My Way from Lionel Richie is actually a love song. It's nothing about side girl and side man. But
he's on his way to, his person.
Person. And
that's it.
But something in my mind was telling me, boy, I feeling something. I actually think I said I feeling something nasty now. But it was like nasty, like not in a nasty way. Just I was feeling something rude, and that was what I was radiating at the time. I was feeling something rude for that song. And I went to the microphone and I took a little selfie video of the melody that I was catching. So I was just
so
there.
You could have it.
Yeah, I was just, baby, tell me if the partner there. Tell me if the coast is clear, because I'm on my way. And post that on WhatsApp, put down my phone, continue working. And I come back, I just see send. So I checking what's going on in WhatsApp. I continue what's going on WhatsApp. So
Shelley, you're killing me tonight there,
So when I see what's going on in WhatsApp, I start to send out for the people. So I realized, okay, this thing is viral.
Yes.
And for the next couple of days, that was all people were talking about. And the thing is, we had a production plan. That wasn't part of the plan to be released immediately. So that became a problem. But
fellas a little vexed with you.
No, we wondering how we going on here.
Yes.
Fellas not even vexed because we feeling stuck.
Okay.
Collectively we were stuck because we wondering, okay, should
what
we
to do?
cancel what we're going to release and release that. And fellas kind of reluctant, which we should stick to the plan. We are band, we like to stick to the plan. And a night, I was on the toilet. That's my thinking spot, So I was there for a couple hours. I don't know. And I say, okay, I have to send an executive decision or executive sort of way I think. I need to send that to you. I need to share how I'm feeling because I that energy I feeling from that song. I say, guys, forget about this other project right now. We need to release this song now. That is the song we need to work on right now. We have to shift gears, whatever, and we actually just shift gears, and
that was it.
I start to write that by that night, send a PDF. The next night, maybe send a PDF for the guys of the lyrics. I name the parts for the different singers to sing, and I tell them, yeah, we're recording that. I said, Stasha, tomorrow self, make that happen, and that was it. We really fast forwarded the production of that song just because of it went viral, and we just had to do it. We didn't want the momentum to die. Nothing. Yeah.
What was the other project, if you don't mind me asking?
It was actually the party mix called Booyah Vax.
Okay.
It was that, right? Yeah, 20,000 people waiting for the Booyah vaccine. So that was it. Because I think we were pandemic. We're still kind of pandemic when that song.
Very skilled, young man.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm just thinking. I remember that vaccine song, and
So that was what we were working on at the time.
So you see, you can make good music, and it can be clean.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And everybody can relate.
Everybody knows that's possible. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, it's 9:42 time in the studios, and we've not even gone to Harvard as yet.
Gee.
We need to go to Harvard in a while. But let's take another one. You do collaborations as well. We don't just move from the band.
Yeah.
You do collaborations. And my favorite collaboration for 2023 is We Ready.
Yeah.
That you did with Triller. I mean, I wish I could use it for certain things I can't.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying.
That is the song.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yo, we ready. Yeah, we ready. Tell them we're ready for more. We ready for more. We ready. Chill on me, man. It's your boy Shelly. We ready. Wow. For more. When the band on the road and the people jumping, what they want is more reading. Yes, when the band on the road and the people chipping, what they want is more reading. We ready like Freddy. Fetting heavy, drinking enough from to fill my belly. Don't call my celly. I had one too many. I think I have a CO disease deep in my DNA. I don't start drinking, don't talk for whining. I don't start chipping to the booyah reading. I charge like a battery, ever ready. I joke already, so sing it for me, Shelly. What they want is more reading. Shut them. Yes, sir. Look at, take that. Look at, work that. Yeah. Look at, take that. Look at, work that. The band coming. Yes. Rum boying. That's right. Not too much lyrics, we want more reading. Every damn morning, I oversleeping. True. Don't need no alarm when it's Juve money. The band's ready. Yes. Fans ready. Yes. Woman in their costume, so they're man ready. Gangs ready. What? Hands ready. Get your flags ready. Put them up in the air.
Let's go, Shelly. We ready. We ready. For more. Stasha number
Represent your bad man. Your bad on the vocals.
I think Triller mentioned a bit how that King Trilogy or Calypso Monarch for 2023 history making, just like you making history. How did this one come about, Shelly?
I think it started from mutual respect, as two young men. To be honest, I would. Sorry. Yeah, started from mutual respect. As two young men, Triller and I, we greatly respect each other. especially in our skill, but also just as a young man. He's a great young man. This is a great young man, and we have a respect, a mutual respect. That's the start. Well, we have been trying to do a song for a little while. It has gone from many avenues. It has went from management, or management spoke, had a meeting a time and tried a lot of idea, and you run it by Jelani, and that's the video we're gonna do for that. But the vibes only came when Trilla and I link. Management can't link that. Management can't make that happen. That is our link. The creatives,
Nice.
So Trilla sent me the idea. He's actually the one that sent me the idea. I was like, okay, I going back. I go and get a reading for that. So I get the reading for that, send back, and then we went in the studio and we just make it happen.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that I'm just coming to the realization, you are a producer. You make beats, you write, you sing. I mean, like, really?
Yeah, I don't produce anymore though.
You don't produce anymore.
Yeah, I cannot take a step back from that.
But isn't that involved in the creation when you compose a song?
Yeah. I'll be part of it, but actually sitting down to do it, the execution.
You leave it to.
Yeah, I leave it to Dins. Dins does a lot of that, and we love to collaborate at Signal Dance. So, for example, We Ready was mainly produced by Maskman. Maskman does a lot of ASAP productions.
Okay.
So we love to collaborate. We collaborated with him. We brought it in the studio and we worked on it. We still kept him through the process. And we've been doing a lot of our latest songs like that, because it feels better to collaborate is one, but you get different sounds. Like, so many trending songs in Buyo these days, and so many people bringing different flavors. My biggest fear, which I always express to the band, I would hate for all our songs to sound the same. So I really try to bring in different producers and work. Yeah.
I'm just seeing a note there from someone in the chat. I opened up the chat because I just wanted to see what's going on in there. And she's saying, I'm wondering, what is the process of quote unquote getting the rhythm?
Getting the rhythm happens different ways. Sometimes a producer just sends a beat, a drum machine with some drums, etc., some of the keyboard pads.
And you do that kind of thing too, right?
Yeah, I used to.
I used
to, but
for us non-musicians, sometimes you have to break it down.
Yeah. So that is the actual physical production on the computer using the softwares to put down the little drum machine, tuk tuk stuk kuduk, and the little pads. So fetching the rhythm would be sometimes sending an idea to a producer by a voice note and telling him that's what I want. I want something for that. Or sometimes they just make stuff and send it to us and be like, I have a brand new, make something on it. And so I've done things different ways. But for We Ready, it was getting Trilogy gave me the We Ready idea. I sent it to Maskman. Maskman sent back something to me. I sent the Trilogy. We had a nice little triangle going on until we decided, let's just go to the studio together. And that was the beauty. We actually penned most of the song together in the studio. So I was missing lines and Trilogy was missing lines, and he gave me a line, I give him a line, and when the charge like a battery ever ready hit me, I said, Trilla, that's your line. Charge like a battery ever ready.
I love it.
yeah, man. That was the vibe. Yeah.
Okay. And you do that you perform. I've seen you
Yeah.
been at events where you perform
Together.
together.
Yeah.
So he comes and performs with you guys. And you do you've done other collaborations as well. So that is part of what you do.
Yeah.
And tell us about some of those collaborations and what do they mean to you to collaborate?
Well, honestly, I've done a lot of them, and number one, the importance of collaboration is that you can sort of cross-pollinate audiences. My fans, or somebody else's fans are not necessarily my fans, but because I do a song with their favorite artists, automatically they might feel like, boy, I like Shelly vibes here because Shelly collaborated with my artist, and vice versa. So I think, first of all, that exchange of fan base is very important. You cannot just stick in your bubble and argue my fans is my fans. If you want to grow and expand your market, then you collaborate, whether that's on a local level or regional level. And I feel like that was part of the success of We Ready and just Carnival. We had collaborations and people flock to us for different reasons and for different artists and all of that. So that's important.
That's important. I must touch as well, and then we're going to move on. The fact that the band is also a business.
Yeah.
And that business comes to light, especially during the carnival season.
Yeah.
So just tell us a bit about how this business concept came about.
Business concept mainly. The reason for it is that we have seen many mistakes over the years, and we had the thoughts that we cannot allow ourselves to continue on the patterns of the our predecessors of not really capitalizing on our popularity. Music is something that it starts as the art, it generates popularity. That popularity is supposed to generate income. That's what happens. The popularity becomes influence, and the influence is what generates the income. And that's what happens in the music industry internationally. Is how do you generate money from your popularity and influence? So we were like from early, we need to start calling something on our own, which was in illumination. We need to start calling something our own, so that it might not work in the first couple of years, but we know that down the line we have something to say, okay, that belongs to us, and that's where the concept came about. After a few years of illumination became staple. We moved on, and I collaborated with a group, and we brought Fantasy Tribe. So we just want to keep on. It's like children. It's like little investments. You're making children. You don't have any favorites, but you just know that you're planting those seeds there, because over time they're going to grow, and those are the kind of seeds that only you can make or break.
Correct.
That's not nobody else work that we're riding on.
Correct.
We're riding on our own work, and this is going to be there for life. It's good. I will go down. Those are the things that will go down in our legacy, and we want to build a proper legacy.
Where do you think the band is right now from your point of view, and where do you see you guys going? And then we're going to talk about Shelley and Harvard.
Yeah, a long ways to go. I think the band has definitely progressed. When we look back at where we were and where we are now, I think one of the strongest things to consider when you think of Signal Band is that the difference that we bring to the table now, for that to be accepted in the current climate of booyah music, which everybody know what the climate is, for us to bring something different and still be accepted. Like when people say that good booyah not being appreciated, I cannot relate. I literally would tell them I cannot relate to that. My music is being appreciated, and I always say that I have a different breed of fans. I thank them for that. And even the people that like the other kinds of music that we don't produce, they like our music too. So I will say that is one of the points of progress that we can point out, that we can still stand out among any other thing that's happening in booyah or that climate. I think now we need to think of the next level, regional, international. What do we have to add or take out from that sound to get to that level? Or maybe it's not about the sound, maybe it's about the marketing of the song that we already have. Is what we have been doing the homework on. Homework one, to build capital to do it, because marketing is a money making business. You need capital to market. So we have been figuring out how to build that capital is one, but also just how to get to the little corners of the world with our music, or get the music there, even though we don't go, but the music need to get there.
Okay, Shelley.
Have a time.
The musical designer.
Yeah.
That's your overarching name or message, or how you've branded yourself.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make the link now to the music, from the music to the designer. And that's gonna take us back to school. We're gonna go back to school now. So
much time we have?
It's all right. We're going to go back to school now, and we're going to talk about when you left St. Mary's Academy. Okay. You said you left Dominic at age 19, thereabout. Take us through that journey.
So,
because that for me, even if everything that we've spoken about, that for me, I always get excited about this whole Harvard Ivy League school thing. So let's talk.
Okay. So I'll start a little bit in SMA. So SMA has a building technology class. People call it Woods, WOODS, Woods. But when I had to choose a class, I think it was around third form, you kind of have to choose a concentrated path. I think it's whether IT, agriculture, or building technology. I might have one more. So I chose building technology. But that was because of a curiosity I had about architecture. I was just like, curious about how buildings are formed and how they're constructed. On an elementary level, I was just wondering about that. So I saw building technology. So I was like, that must be about that. That's not like college where you have a course description to help you to choose your class. SMA say building technology, so you in building technology. So until Mr. Daly come and started to talk, and I was like, so that's a furniture class. I check it. Oh, that's a furniture class.
Lord Jesus.
So we literally were designing, quote unquote, and building furniture in that class. Like, so I built a piece that's actually still at home in Goodwill at my childhood home. But we actually were learning the fundamentals of technical drawing while designing furniture. And that continued to trigger the curiosity that I had for architecture. So after I was done with SMA, I was like, okay, when I go to college, I'm going to study architecture. And I went to Dominica State College and I did an associate's degree in architecture. No, I'm a kind of person, I just felt like my foot on the gas, I should just continue pressing the gas. Opportunities were rising. I think I graduated as a top student in the Faculty of Applied Arts and Technology in college. So I got a scholarship to go to university. So
College in Dominica.
Yeah, college in Dominica.
Okay.
So I got a scholarship to go to university, and my mother was like, "Yeah, it's about that time, because I think I did like 1 year between. I was just chilling, traveling, playing my music, and chilling. My mother was like, the faster you do it, faster you finish.
She has a point.
Yeah, and I think, that faster you do it, faster you finish stuck with me, because I was just, from the moment I got into school, I was like, boy, I just going to do that to finish with that. So right now, when people ask me about PhD, I just tell them, calm down.
Take it easy. Slow down.
Yeah, and I think I finished with school. But anyway, so, when I got to university, I studied architecture. Hadley was a key element there because Hadley was doing architecture at the same school that I went.
Oh.
So I remember we met in the headquarters yard one of the times, and we were talking about, we knew each other from music, but just he knew about my aspirations in architecture. So he was telling me about the school and the program. And at that point, I was looking at different programs. My brother lives in Georgia, so I was looking to go to Georgia to study. But then I was like, go by my brother. Yeah, maybe I have a place to stay. But go Maryland. I wouldn't be my brother or family, but I'll be somebody I can relate to, somebody that been through the program. He was a few years ahead of me, that could help me. I feel like there was more relatability there. So I went to Maryland, and Hadley was my roommate, and we went through school. Hadley did his master's in landscape architecture, but I didn't do my master's at that school. He did his master's at the school. But the reason I didn't do it is because I graduated as a valedictorian at Morgan State University.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. So when that happened, the program director walked up to me and was like, so what's next? Music. There was some music. At that time, I really felt like I already held back the band some years, blah, blah, blah. I used to be apologizing to them guys. Sorry, fellas.
Can
and
imagine?
there was understanding, and still, my lifestyle is not the ordinary one. So, but I was like, boy, I tell her, Miss, I can't remember her name. No, I can't remember. I can't remember her last name. Pavlina. I used to call her by her first name. That's what I do to my teachers when I got to a certain level. I call them by their first name. All my teachers good. so I say, Miss Pavlina, I honestly thinking of going to do some music for some time. But when I do go back to my master's, I tell I can assure you I will do my master's. But when I go back to my master's, I will do construction management or project management. That's what I told her. And she was like, no, these are not necessarily career paths. They're tasks. And she was like, if you do an architecture degree in a master's architecture degree, you can be any of these things. And then she was like, not just an architecture degree, but I think you should go to an Ivy League school. I was like, what? I asked her, what is an Ivy League school? What that means? Like, I was at college and I didn't know what that term was. I was like, Ivy League, what that means? And she was like, we're talking about Harvard, Yale, Cornell, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like that's the schools and the movies.
That's it.
And she was literally, start to pump some energy into me. I was saying that, I think you're so intelligent that you shouldn't sell yourself short. if you're going to go to school, you should go to a school. You should go to a school that's going to challenge you and build you into a beast. And she was like, I see beast potential in you. I see that you're just supposed to be a champion. And, you know, she started to pump that energy into me. And I was just listening to her. Then I had a friend. Well, I have a friend from Kenya who I met in school. We met on the first day that I went to Morgan State University. His name is Andrew. And he was literally the first person I spoke to at the school. Still very good friends right now. And he decided that he's going to go to Harvard. But I was just finding out that he's the first student from that school to want to go to Harvard. So he was actually being laughed at by the student population. We were going to an HBCU, we were going to black school. And they were like, with Harvard not going to accept us, little black boys. Come on. So he literally told me that he's not going to let them crush his dreams. He wants to go to Harvard. So he was like, Shelly, apply. Let's go to Harvard. So I tell him, nah, man, I got work for 1 year. I meant it. I don't want to go to school right now. I was feeling a little burnt out too. So I did work for 1 year, and he went ahead of me. Okay. So when he went to the open house, he called me and he said, Shelly, this is the place for you. You need to come here. Apply, please.
So he got in.
He got in and he went to visit.
Let's laugh at him now.
No, actually, before he got in, he went to visit. So when he went to visit, a few days after was the application deadline. So that's why he was calling me to tell me the deadline is a few days. Shelly, you need to apply. And that's for me to start in 2017. I was like, bro, I just graduated. I need to break. I need to rest. Plus, Jelani and I just have started the illumination in our head too. Illumination ideas start to form. So I went to work. Then I applied to Harvard. I was like, okay, if I'm going to apply to Harvard, I should try some other Ivy League.
You worked in the US?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just working at an architecture firm in Baltimore. And I was like, let me just apply to Harvard, Yale, Cornell. Like, I'll just really see what this is about, you know? And, you know, I had a little confidence that I would get in, honestly. I think Virginia Tech was like, is a non-Ivy League school, not an Ivy League school, but that was my first choice because maybe I was selling myself a little short. I thought that's what I could achieve. And, you know, I had people around me saying that you're going to get into Harvard, you know. It's going to be funny, but if I do, I do. And I got into Virginia Tech and I probably didn't look at that acceptance letter more than once because I got into Harvard before that. So when I got the Harvard acceptance, I watched that.
You couldn't believe that.
I think, what that happened? I got out sometime in the morning. I never worked for that entire day. But I wasn't too excited. I was in a state of shock. So much so that a few days passed and I didn't say anything to them. So one of the program directors called me and he was like, is it Sheldon? How are you feeling? I tell him, like, good. Like, all right. He was like, you just all right. You just got into Harvard, the number one university in the United States. He said, you also got into the number one architecture program. You should be shit-faced. You should be drunk somewhere. And, you know, and I was telling him, I tell him, like, yeah, I should be, but, you know, I kind of worried. Who's going to pay for that? That's what I asked him. I tell him, I worried about who's going to pay for that. But with my acceptance, they had already given me, Harvard is about $50,000 US a year.
That's a lot of money.
The program is about 4 years. So we're talking almost $250,000 for that degree. So I told him, like, yeah, it's all well and good, but who's going to pay for that? He was like, come on, let's talk. He was like, didn't you read your entire letter? We already offered you like $37,000 out of that. I tell him, boy, the 13 still a lot to put. I start to go negotiation on him. And I tell him, the 13 still a lot to put up with that 37. He was like, let's talk. I'm going to put you in contact with Keith. That's the financial aid guy.
That's it.
I tell him, let's talk to Keith.
Yes, let's talk. Let's have a
talk
conversation.
to Keith, man.
Not Keith from WCK.
No, not WCK. not Goddard. Talk to Keith, though. My premise to Keith, because I do my little research and I realized that Harvard will quickly offer you money and scholarships if you just tell them that you got accepted to Yale too.
Oh.
When I read that, I say, oh, I'm coming back. Call Keith. I say, Keith, Yale just told me that they're going to give me a full scholarship. I said, Keith, like, honestly, that's what Yale just told me.
Oh, my God.
And Keith was like, no. Check it. Okay, Shirley, we're going to pay your full tuition. I said, okay, that's it.
And that was it.
God is good. Yeah, and that was it. And that was the moment.
$250,000.
And I was like, free education to Harvard. It wasn't free. I mean, when I look
Yes, yes.
back at it, the supplies plus
Yes,
rent
of
is
course,
expensive
of
in
course,
Boston.
Of course.
But I could say I got free education, and that meant so much. Just knowing that this is a place that only few get in, and this is not even just about demographics and black or white. Even people in the majority, white people don't get into Harvard like that. They celebrate it like it's impossible. So I know what a little boy of color had to do. I had to really
From a
from
Caribbean island.
exactly. I had to celebrate that hardcore, and I mean, I maybe still didn't celebrate it as loud as I needed to, but I know that it felt really good, and I also know that the mission was going to be very hard. And my first year, I struggled a lot.
Okay.
Real culture shock. I was like, boy, this is hard work.
Can you do this?
I really had doubts. I had moments where I had to see counselors and therapists.
Wow.
Because it was just very overwhelming. It's a very challenging environment. But one thing that stuck with me from all my counselors and therapists, they were saying that you should not feel that you cannot do it. You should feel like the fact that you got into this place means that you and everybody else are already on the same level. That's the blank slate. Being able to get into this place is what you should use as your inspiration to tell yourself you can get through this place. You got to it, so now you can get through it. And that was the moment where I had to kind of just take things slow, readjust, and start to apply myself. I mean, through it all, I was still doing my music. I think that kept me sane, maybe distracted me but it was an intentional distraction, Never stopped doing music, even through all that. But I am happy for that challenge, and I think that was the most difficult thing I've experienced in my life. I will not do it again, I will tell you. I will not do it again, but I don't regret it at all. It was the most challenging 4 years of my life, but I made some meaningful connections, and I grew as an individual a lot.
So at the end of it, what are you? What is that you gained? A
master's degree in architecture.
In architecture.
Yeah. So I went to the School of Design. I did a master in architecture.
Okay. Somebody's writing here, yo, bro, you are such a great inspiration to the youth. Busy in a band and still able to do a master's program. Not just a master's program at Harvard. And that is the point for me that I hope that some are still up and listening and tuned in, and or they'll go back and look at this. What this person just said, Shelley, is important.
Yeah.
It is important because not many are able to achieve what you've been able to achieve. Not many have the talents that you've been born with and you honed.
Yeah.
You're under 30 and you've been able to do all of that. And that is why tonight I said, what I've really liked young people to tune into the program.
All right.
Now, if you notice the program, we had some fun, we had some laughs,
but
we also had
some serious moments,
that we had to speak about. And Shelley, your experience leaves you to say what to the young person who is still in high school, maybe even still in primary school, probably at sixth form college level, probably struggling academically. What is the message?
Well, there are several messages, but when I look back at how I was able to do this, to kind of think of a formula to tell someone asking me a question like that, I firstly say that this couldn't be all me. I think I know for sure there was a divine power that was stronger than me that got me to get through all this. So that is the first thing we have to acknowledge. The average young person needs to acknowledge that there's something bigger than us that's going to drive us through these moments and difficult moments, and even our dreams is going to redirect us and direct us to where we need to be going. And I like to say that firstly, it's like you gain control when you lose control in that divine power. Whatever you call that divine power, you call him God, Jah, Yahweh. That once you lose control in that being, you will gain back the control. And I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is to try to understand yourself before anybody else can try to understand you. I think that is the first thing. Try to figure out what you want for yourself, and like dig deep into it. Try to become an expert at it. Expert doesn't mean paying yet. You don't have to. You can become an expert without paying $1. Everybody, I know Wi-Fi is like a right. Everybody have Wi-Fi and the internet. So you have to kind of become an expert before you even spend that $10,000 a semester, $20,000 a semester, and find out if you're really interested in that thing and if it's really going to make you happy, and if you can see yourself doing it for life. And then application, you have to really apply yourself and know when to shut down other things. You have to know how to not be distracted, because there's a lot of noise out there that comes in the form. There's positive noise. It comes in the form of negativity, but there's also positive noise. Just things that might distract you that are not important at the time. There are things that you have to sacrifice. Like I felt like for me, I sacrificed my music career. I could have been further, I think, but maybe not. Maybe that journey defined who I am today in my music. So I cannot even say that. And then the last thing is to not lose your sense of self. I feel like a lot of people saw me though I have a degree and was just expecting to never see me again because Shelly might land some big job in LA.
Yes.
Shelly gonna land. I had so many friends when I was going off to Harvard who said to me, "Don't forget me."
Oh.
And that means that they had an expectation, or maybe they were afraid of something, because when people get to experience certain levels, experience life on certain levels, they tend to forget people, they tend to forget where they come from, they tend to forget themselves, they tend to lose themselves. So I always try to tell people, make sure you maintain your sense of self, stay humble, stay on the ground, remember the people that were there when you wasn't at that place, have gratitude and show gratitude. Obviously not everybody's going to make it along the way. You have fallen out, and that's life. But as much as you can, you have to show that gratitude and make sure you keep your sense of self, who you are. You are the product, you are the service, you are everything. Yeah.
Agreed, Shelley. And the whole experience, what did it teach you? That a little black boy from the Caribbean island can get to an Ivy League school. What were the lessons here?
You can. That's that you can, but you have to apply. I wasn't spoon fed. I feel like even the fact that I got a full tuition, I got my tuition fully paid. I still worked for that. I still worked to even get the tuition really paid. I negotiated, and it's also
your smarts.
I use my smarts, but it's also something that could have been taken away from me sometime along the process if I wasn't performing.
Yeah, true.
And I have people that cared so much about me when they see me come back to Dominica to perform. They were like, "Shelly, you're not in school, Shelly. Don't mess it up, don't blow the child." I said, "Oh, well, I have that under control." Don't worry about me, and but is the point is you can, but it's really a mind game. Like you really have to sort of solidify your sense of self. And I always say that my goal is always to be how do I say it, the most rounded person that I am. I try to make sure that I'm not perfect, as we started the program by saying that, but I try to make sure that all the aspects of my being, I'm in touch with them. I'm in touch with my spirituality. I still want to make money, but I still want to treat people good. I feel like I want to be doing all these things at the same time, so that can make me a complete individual.
Somebody writes, Shelley, this guy must be used as a role model for the youth of our time. He's phenomenal. Is there a level of pressure that you feel in terms of, being seen as that type of person, the one who could be a role model? Again, we said you're not perfect, but is this something that you feel that you can be a role model to others?
Yeah, I think I naturally am a role model, and I don't feel any pressure, because this is my state of being. This is who I am. I'm not putting up a front. There are things that happen in my private life that obviously people don't know of, and probably it's not their business. And maybe if if people were to know, they'll be like, oh, what Shelly's a role model and whatever. But the fact is, it starts with that I'm not perfect, but I know how to respect my environment.
Sure.
You know, I know that there are things for certain places, there are things for not certain places, and there are some things that I do some places that I wouldn't do in another place. It doesn't mean that when you see me at other place, oh, Shelly's not, I'm not a hypocrite. But the point is, I know how to respect my environment, and I didn't sign up to be a role model, but by default, I am.
You are.
And I have to
Yeah.
accept that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here, Shelly? What are you doing now? Is it music for now? Are you going to go back to the US? What is it? What is
Well,
happening now?
I live in the US. I live in the US. I live in Dominica.
Mhm.
I call myself a global citizen. But I do live
love
in both places. So I'm always back and forth. That's one. But one of the other reasons why I'm back and forth is because I'm actually a consultant to architects in Boston.
Nice.
I consult on architectural acoustics, and that is pretty much. I know you don't. I know your face.
Oh gosh.
You had to give me the face there, like
I did.
say what?
What?
Yeah, so that pretty much is the art and science of how sound behaves in buildings. Sound.
Imagine that.
So that's perfect, right?
Unbelievable.
Focus. Once you focus, you can make it happen. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So
Look at how the two got
married. Yeah. And that happened in Harvard. While I was in Harvard, I discovered that there was a field that could merge my two passions. And I was like, that just kind of makes sense.
Incredible.
I was like, that just kind of makes sense. Literally, a guy came to present on architectural acoustics, and he started talking about frequency and measuring reverb in a room and concert halls, how to kind of cater the music for a certain concert hall. And after he finished talk, I just went up to him. I said, I'm Sheldon Alfred.
That's it.
I'm Sheldon Alfred. And I spoke to him, and he's actually the director, and he's now the president, at the firm that I consult with. And they have pretty much, I've told them when they were interviewing me, I'm an artist and musician first, and I'm everything else after. Yeah. And I went to sleep saying, okay, now they have the choice whether they want to hire me
or not.
But I was transparent. I told them,
honest and upfront.
I'm a musician first, and I'm everything else after. And up till this day, people see me traveling and say that man can never have a job or another job, actually, because
music. You do.
I do, but
yes.
It also means that it's okay to be honest.
Yes.
Some people might try to hide that and not make it.
It really warms my heart to hear that.
Yeah,
that you've been able to just marry those two things that you love, and it's working great for you.
Yeah. Stressful at times because
I can imagine
it's a lot.
You have to travel.
My mind is always going. The people closest to me can always tell you I'm not the most focused person. Mm-hmm. I can lose focus. Like Jelani can tell you when we're driving somewhere, I'll miss a corner because my mind on something else. Mm-hmm. I just hope that it never gets too serious. Yeah. It's something I'm way off, so I try to keep it. But there's a lot going on up there. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
You're awesome. You've done well.
Thank you.
And so many nice comments there for you. You're a blessed child. Keep doing the job. Brilliant young man. So very focused and ambitious. Honesty and pure humbleness, humility. Mikael says, brilliant example of determination and grit. You are an inspiration. And there's a lot of that. I guess you'll get a chance to read after that. So you're in a good place right now, Shelly. And whatever the future holds, I guess you will make the right decisions when you need to make whatever decision that you need to make. But now you can be an artist, you can be part of your band, you can do both of what you love. Yeah. And that is what's important.
Very important.
Yes. Shelly, we have to start wrapping up things. We've gone over time. But you've gotten some awards. Just mention a couple for us if you can remember them off your hand. Some recognitions. I didn't take note of those. Yeah, I just figured that you would.
I think very early on, 2015 or so, I think I was awarded at the National Youth Awards for Outstanding Youth in Music.
Yes.
That was a good motivation. I just finished singing calypso at that point. Well, I just sang calypso that first year, and then I went to study. And then in 2020, I was awarded Outstanding Youth in Music by the Cultural Council. Then in 2022, I was awarded Songwriter of the Year at the Dominican Music Awards. Then Later that year, got another call from the National Youth Council telling me I was nominated for 2 awards, and I was like, okay, what's going on?
I was actually a judge for that.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yes.
You judge me. You judge me. But the other thing was put in a judgment.
Yes.
So, yeah, at National Youth Awards 2022, that was,
Yes.
I won
Yeah.
Outstanding Male Youth of the Year or Male Youth of the Year, and the President's Outstanding Youth of the Year.
You were in a what was the color of your suit?
Like a maroonish
kind of color.
yeah.
But it looked good. And by
Sharp
the way,
that night.
you have a good sense of fashion as well.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
kudos on that. And
I want to thank my partner for that, because if I just say she does help me dress is a problem.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, partner. You get your credit. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't get your name, but you get your credit.
Yeah. You like trouble, do?
Shirley, I mean, it's been an amazing time, chatting with you. Someone says the overtime was worth it. And I think it was worth it too.
Definitely.
I was really happy, to have. And I remember when I reached out to you, I said, I didn't even realize you were in Dominica. I said, the next time you come, let me know, so we can have a chat and we can do the program. I really, great program, quite interactive and informative interviews. Stay blessed, Shirley. So, quite a bit of good stuff coming there for you, which I think you really and truly deserve. I think you're a shining example. We've already said you're not perfect, but I think you really are a role model for young people in Dominica. I really do hope, not just Dominica, I really do hope that some of them will get a chance to go back and view this program, or maybe listen to it again when I re-air it on radio during one of my open slots. Definitely want to be repeated. And I just want to give you the opportunity to give us some final comments as we wrap things up here tonight.
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Ferdina, for inviting me here.
My pleasure.
I love sort of settings like these and moments like these when I'm able to sort of just bask in some of the achievements and bask in the journey. It's not often that you really get the time to pause and think about all that you've done. And tonight was that kind of night for me. It's kind of emotional, and but honestly, thank you for that. I want to thank the people who have been supporting me throughout these years, the people that have held me accountable as well, critique me when I need to be critiqued, and the people that have supported me from being a child. I was a child star, so I had people that came from that journey and are still fans and friends and supporters now, and I have to appreciate them. The people that are coming on board now as friends and fans, I appreciate you too. I appreciate the people on my team. A huge shout out to them for the patience, and as I say, I don't live an ordinary life.
No, definitely not.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that on the level of friends, my people that work with me, my relationship, my everything in me, my coworkers, my family. Shout out to any of my family members listening for their support and on all of that over the years. And I want to just say thank you. I don't want to say I don't call any names.
No names. We're not calling the partner name. We're not calling anybody's name. Just a few things quickly as we just wrap up. Great interview, such an inspiration. Super proud of you, Shirley, and love your humility. Great show tonight. Learned a lot about a guy whom I already admired. More life, more blessings. You should be very proud of yourself. I really enjoyed this interview. I'm just sitting here and feeling so full of light. Keep up the excellent work that both of you are doing. Well, they give me a little props there too, but it's really more about you, Kelly. Salute, General. You are a living inspiration to many. Great program. Love always and put God first. So just some advice there for you. And this was super. Thank you so much. Nice. I see there's a song, Is a Blessing. It is a blessing.
Can we close with that?
Yes, we can. That's a wrap on tonight's In the Spotlight radio show. And that's what we're about. We're about inspiring. We're about putting smiles on your face, making you smile, educating you, informing you, all of that good stuff. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Shirley, for being here. And more blessings upon you.
Thank you.
Something stronger than preacher man, deeper than religion. Bless, saint, drop down on my knees and say, I feel so blessed, 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 blessed. Messi, Messi, whoa. Let's call Blessy, Blessy, whoa. 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 Oh Lord, is a blessing, yeah. It ain't the money or no girls that could make me feel so blessed, yeah. Something stronger than preacher man, deeper than religion, blessed. Saints, drop down on my knees and say, I feel so blessed, 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 blessed. Messi, Messi, whoa. Let's call Blessy, Blessy, whoa. 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 Baby, tell me if the partner there. Just tell me if the coast is clear. Oh, cause I'm on my way. Ha, life of a side man. This side life is the best life. A zero stress life. Baby, tell me if the partner there. Just tell me if the coast is clear. Oh, cause I'm on my way.
Thank you for listening to In the Spotlight. We would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions of guests or topics and issues you would like featured on In the Spotlight, let us know. We would also welcome your feedback. Please send us an email at inthespotlight.da@gmail.com or contact us at 275-7565. In the Spotlight is aired on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. with your host, Ferdina Frampton. Until next time, good night and God bless.